we're starting to see selling really pick up 3% on the S&P 500, another 3% on the NASDAQ. Everyone might be interested on whether or not we're coming down into that support line, whether or not we've broken it, and what is next if we have. The market's very on edge today ahead of Fed Chairman Jerome Powell's FOMC meeting and press conference. We're going to take a look at what the market did going into that and what the market has done ever since the Fed spoke over here. We're going to take a look at what comments Jerome had to share with us today. We'll take a look at all these bullet points over here that I found on Forex Live. I'm going to tell you what was going on with my day as this occurred over here today. We set this up this morning beautifully. By the way, in this video, we're going to be looking here at the S&P 500, taking a look at the NASDAQ. We're going to see what is next and what had occurred today. We're going to track the DXY as we see that we are seeing a nice breakout of the trend line over here. We're going to factor in what is the next move on the dollar and what the significance of this break is. We're going to be looking over at Bitcoin over here. We get a very clear and concise look at what was going on at Bitcoin today. That's what was happening today with myself. I was just on my mobile phone over here. I saw price. So I'm watching price just like this on the ticker over there. I saw the price of Bitcoin dipped below 3,000. It went to like 29,500. And then I saw that it recovered about $1,000. But then I saw it dip back below 30,000 again, and I said to myself, oh, that's interesting that it really wasn't able to make any higher highs than that. Let me go over here to a 1 hour time frame. You can see what happened over there. That's when I first saw it trade down to 29,500. It then jumped up over here to about 30,900, 31,000, and then sold off again. And then the last time the Fed had already met, it had been hours afterwards. The next time that I was able to check over here what was going on in the market, and notice that I'm checking what's going on with Bitcoin. I'm not checking what's going on with the dollar. I'm not checking what's going on with the US indexes. I'm not checking with anything else except what is happening with Bitcoin. And I understand what's going on with the entire market depending on what's going on with Bitcoin. And the FOMC turned to be a non-event. You can see Bitcoin off here, off its lows, 31,350, trying to recover up into a little bit of resistance right now. You can see it horizontally. It's local. It's just noise. That's why I'm over on the 8 hour time frame over here. What would be the next positive event over here? Is it positive that we didn't go over here and make a lower swing low? Yes, it is. Even on the 8 hour intraday that when we traded back down, that we didn't take out the previous low over here, session low. And now if we start making higher highs, it looks like we have the potential to take another look at that trend line resistance. Now, if at any point in the next 24 hours, we sell off, and not only sell off, but take out this low, which was pre and post FOMC, that would be something to pay attention to. Then we would probably be seeing that scenario we saw with a move down towards 26,000, maybe even a little bit more. A 38% drawdown would be into 26,000. Could we go down towards 24,000? A 42% drawdown? Of course, be prepared. I don't think it's going to happen. I know a lot of people, a lot of traders would like to close the CME gap down over here. I don't think Bitcoin really cares. Let's see what happens, though, as we continue going forward. What did Jerome say? Let's look at that before we look at the U.S. indexes. He basically said, look, there's a lot of people that are still unemployed, and we're running out of opportunities for them. What does that mean? To me, that means, again, we said it in this channel back in March that we would be looking at the culmination of this crisis, universal basic income implemented. And again, this is just one of those signals that that's what we're looking at. There's a lot of people out of work, and there's no signs of them returning to work anytime soon. Now, we do have, of course, the markets might be driven by the hopes of a vaccine, right? Jerome Powell went over to say that over here. He said, look, boom, boom, boom. Right now, what you're seeing is assets driven, right, for the past few months by the vaccine and fiscal policy. Well, it's being driven a lot by fiscal policy. That fiscal policy is causing what? It's causing things like GameStop to occur, right? We got a lot of money slushing around the system. It's got to go somewhere. We know that it's uber asset inflationary, QE, right? We said that all along. Here we are, and Jerome is saying, oh, yeah, it's got a little something to do with it, but really the vaccine is what's driving the economy, okay? The connection between the low interest rates and asset values is probably something that's not as tight as people think. So he's saying that the artificially low interest rates, artificially suppressed interest rates are not the cause of all this. Well, a lot of brighter minds obviously think different than that. He goes on to say, look, we're going to be patient. If we see any transient inflation increases, we're not going to bug out. So what is he saying is that the Fed is actually looking ahead and saying, watch, we're going to see, because there's massive inflation, it's going to start showing up. And if we see a couple of surprises to the upside, we're really not going to react to that. We're going to let that run hot. So be prepared that we are going to see some of that in 2021, and the Fed is just going to shake it off, saying, yeah, I was ready for that. And they went on to say that the Fed, that they think it's very unlikely that anything we will see will result in sustained problematic inflation, as if all inflation is not. But they're saying that they don't think it's going to get out of control. Okay, we'll see what happens. Of course, we would have the tools to deal with that high inflation, right? They could always raise interest rates if need be. But if they raise interest rates, how are they going to service the debt? This is all one big problem over here. It's too early to focus on tapering dates. I thought that's what the market was kind of selling off into over here. You could see over here as we have about 20 minutes to the close, we're starting to see selling really pick up 3% on the S&P 500, another 3% on the NASDAQ. Everyone might be interested on whether or not we're coming down into that support line, whether or not we've broken it, and what is next if we have. We're going to look at the S&P and NASDAQ. Before we do, let me finish over here. He says that the Fed is not going to be looking to taper anytime soon. And if they do, it's going to be a very gradual taper, right? The focus on that type of exit right now is way premature. It's not happening anytime soon. They're much more worried about falling short of a complete recovery than inflation. All right, so what that means is that they feel comfortable with these current monetary conditions they set forth, the artificially low interest rates with the massive amount of monthly QE purchases, and they feel like they would rather see that than pull off the pedal and watch the market economy pull another taper tantrum. Okay, so every time the Fed has tightened in the past, it has caused them shortly thereafter, within about a year after, to have to come in with new QE. The Fed knows that they can't do that. If they do, what's the next package going to look like? Is it going to be like a $7 to $10 million package? The last one was a $4.1 trillion package. Every time they come in, they got to come in bigger and harder. Right now, and this is why it looks like we have clear skies. This is why I say right now, equities right now, unattractive. Do they look risky? No, right? Why? Because we have all this massive amount of money that's got to go somewhere. Stocks go up. Fed is printing. Over here, S&P 500, you saw this big pullback coming into the meeting today. And I thought that was because maybe the market was worried that the Fed might be talking or hinting about a possible exit and some type of tapering. Well, I didn't think they would. I was worried that would come up in the press conference and then the market would not like what was said. Did that happen? Let's look if we broke this channel over here first. We've pierced this channel over here right now. If we close in the next 20 minutes below this channel, that sets up some opportunity to the downside here on the S&P 500. Of course, we would need to wait and see where this move ended out. It might come down as far as over here around 36.61. But what I'll be looking for is a retest of this area over here of this broken support. If that gives an opportunity for a retest and then a resumption off, that would be a place to go ahead and get in. Would I go short here on a close below this trend line over here, this trend line support over there? Would I go short, perhaps targeting something like, what's the next area of support that we see that looks significant or could be a level, right? I'm doing this in my mind right now. What I'm doing is I'm looking at these areas over here. I see it right over here. All right, this is the area I'm focusing on. If I extend that line up, do we just touch that line, then come back up for the retest and then resume down? And if we do, that, what's a bigger line? What's more significant? That's what I'm looking for. I guess we're going to have to look down over here. This last area of support, didn't make a lower low over here this time. And then you could see on the way up, that found to be resistance over there after breaking down below that. On the way up, that also became support. It's fuzzy. Are we targeting somewhere around 36.58 on the S&P 500? I need to put a level of support over there because that's the next level that I'm watching. If we close below this trend line over here, 36, let's have it at 36. 20 over here, 36.20, some nice support over there. What about what else could I look at? What else could help me? I think that's pretty good. I think that's what we're looking at. What happens if we spike up into the close over here, close back above this trend line, and then throughout Asia, we see that holds without making a lower low, and then we get a buy signal in London. Is that what you've been waiting for? What has this been, a 4 or a 5% pullback from the all-time high over here? Less 3.6%. I've been saying equities become attracted when we have like a 9% drawdown, right? Are we going to come back down towards the 35.46 level? And if we do, we'll be looking to pick up. That's what's going on over there on the S&P 500. What about on the NASDAQ? NASDAQ looking pretty good over here. I just want to clone this trend line over here to give myself a little bit of idea of where possible support is, just so we have our bearings, focusing in on the equities right now as they are starting to come off about 3.5% the S&P from the all-time high. What about the NASDAQ right now? We're going to put some support in down over here. Very bullish right now. Now, the NASDAQ was acting more bullish over here while I was trading above that trend line. That was all resistance. It broke above and then had so far confirmed it as support until today. And look what happened when it broke down into that channel right over here again. It spiked up and already tested that. There was the retest, resuming back down. It's a strong move and it's a strong trend with a lot of momentum. Now, sometimes, even here, if you close here below this channel on the S&P 500, sometimes, price takes that elevator down. It stares up, it goes like this on the way up, and then sometimes it just comes way off. Or do you take a breakout over here if you close below that trend line over there? A very risky trade. Right? What's the need? The worst that can happen is this comes down a little bit further, right? And then bounces up. The safe trade is always going to be that retest and resumption. Let's see what happens. Maybe it doesn't even close below that support. NASDAQ looking a little bit better over here. Let's come back to the NASDAQ. Why I say it's looking a little bit better is because it had that a more bullish structure to it and had broken out over here. Nevertheless, that broken resistance was not able to hold a support for very long, just a couple of sessions, broke down below, a strong meltdown right now occurring. I say that tongue-in-cheek. It's not really melting down 3%. If you were trading back in late February, early March, late March, mid-March, you know what it's like when NASDAQ's going limit down. Right now, we're just seeing a little bit of pressure, but it makes sense after seeing the one-way constant push upwards over here. We still have support over here down around 12,922. If that holds overnight and then a resumption off there, that brings up an opportunity to look for the upside here on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ looking a little bit healthier than the S&P 500. What is that down? Is that down also 3% from the high? Down a little bit more, 4% off the high. Both of them just off all-time highs. Now, a lot of people always looking for tops, and this is probably calling the top is in over here. This begins the meltdown. I don't see anything like that occurring right now, but I do see the possibility in the coming sessions of this support doesn't hold over here, and on the NASDAQ over here, if this support doesn't hold over here as well, and then looking up opportunities to play on the short side for a further correction than we're seeing right now. Is that being driven by the dollar? Let's take a look at the dollar DXY over here. I'm going to pull up Brad's chart over here. Very important. FOMC met today, press conference, dollar on a major breakout over here. This was right over here. This spike up was dollar milkshake theory playing out. Then we consolidated in this channel. This is what set off the big short of 2020 on the dollar, coming from the perspective of being a dollar bull, being able to turn like that when the market shows you that there's a reason to turn, not being emotionally tied to your position. The same thing that's going to happen, when we get into the spring, early winter of this year when I exit Bitcoin. The same thing is going to happen over there. What's going on? I'm not going to be tied to my position. I'm going to follow the market. Over here, though, big breakout on the DXY. Let me zoom out just so you see what we're looking at over here. This is the top outer trend line. We've had one, we've had two, we've had three touches to it. This trend line by Brad was drawn in, by the way, when there was just one touch, cloned off these prime trend lines that we have coming down this way over here. A breakout of this channel. What's next? There's nothing between this area right over here. You could see that was resistance. You have this big trend line resistance going back to the end of May? I need to know for myself. Yep, towards the end of May, middle of May is when that finally broke down over there. Breakdown, retest, resumption, right? And then all day long, here we are breaking out to the upside over here. Not only breaking out, have already come in for a retest, right? You can see the breakout of the channel, have already come in for a retest. looking to resume off. That could be straight and clean, or we could have some more ups and downs over here before finally and ultimately breaking out. But as long as we're outside this channel over here, we're now looking to trade in the direction of the US dollar. Dollar is showing over here, it's trying to put in a bottom. It's been trading sideways here since December 20th here. So for about 1 month, been trading sideways, breaking out now. Actionable moment here for the US dollar. That's why we're focusing in on it. What could be next over here? If you look up, he has resistance over there at 92.13. Great place to have that resistance. That's what we're targeting, between that area and 92.56. At the same time, I just want to add in my channel over here. Come back to the 3-day. Let me just zoom out for you so you could really get a focus on this channel that we have broken down. Right? There's the breakdown of this channel over here, the outer edge, by the way. The breakdown coming in for that retest. By the way, it was just the first, when was it? It was like January the 6th, my first afternoon update video after the new year. It was a Monday after the new year, at least. And I talked about over here, as price was trading down over here, I said, look, we could come in for a retest of this trend line over here, of that channel. That's what we're targeting now on the upside after we see the breakout, that trend line break over here. As long as this holds and resumes off without falling back down into this channel, dollar now looking for a bullish move, but only targeting over, Brad had the horizontal 92.20 right over there, right between that area and 92.59. That's horizontal resistance. And then I have this trend line resistance coming in over here at 91.45. Those are the levels that we're watching now to the upside over here in the sessions ahead. What else? We have Bitcoin over here. I mentioned to you that I was just watching Bitcoin, right, to know what happened today. And I'm seeing right now, after the mic has been dropped, after Powell is done speaking for the press conference, so far Bitcoin has been bid, recovering off its lows. It's still just noise. Everyone knows what we're looking for and waiting for, the break of this trend line over here to really set it off. Whether or not this was the low over here, or if this is the low, or we go lower, that remains to be seen. We'll be watching and tracking that together. Everyone, have a beautiful, beautiful day. If you're still here and enjoyed this video, please smash that like button. Beautiful to share with you. Going over my charts, going over setting my mindset over here, always assessing what's going on around me. Being able to share that with you is a great joy. Thank you, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.